Hey everybody, it is Yo Taylor back here at the Style Table on My Style Mondays every week at 7 p.m. Today I'm here with my very special guest, Fran Shelton. She is an actor. She is someone that really inspired me, especially being someone over 50, to just go ahead and go for what I want. She is an inspiration. I'm so proud of her. She is a lovely woman. She's gorgeous inside and out. She was in she worked for the federal government. So that's all starchy and everything. And so decided to be an actor after she retired. And so for the last 7 years she is a working actor. And she's going to tell us all about how she decided to make this decision to do it. What was that button that made her jump? Because that's a leap of faith. It's a jump. Why was this her dream, and how all those things she's going to share with us, plus tips, good tips that if this is something that you want to do, go for it. And this will help. She's going to help us get through some of the things that might be holding us back from thinking about taking that leap on our dreams or our passions. Fran, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Yolanda, for inviting me. I am so appreciative of just you thinking enough of me to have me on your show. I've seen it before. You've got lots of followers, and I'm just very, very proud to be able to share this with you.
Well, as I mentioned, you are my inspiration. I had to remind myself. I said, I can do something too. There are things that I want to do. I retired, and I took a leap of faith. I'm somebody who's always working in the background, certainly not camera facing. And so I decided, I'm not going to die. I'm just speaking to people. I'm sharing what I do as a stylist, and talking with people who inspire me and who can help others is always a passion of mine. And so I'm so happy that you agreed to do this. And I'm really, frankly, very honored to have you here.
Well,
So,
thanks.
so let's jump right into it. Let's talk about where all this began. What was the idea, and how'd you get started?
Well, as you said, after retiring from federal government, as a younger person with a lot of energy and a lot of desire to stay healthy and keep it moving, I just tried to figure out what was I going to do with the rest of my life. At 58 years old, retiring, you still have a lot of life to live. And everybody knows that the more active you are, the more intellectually stimulated you are, the better you can ward off conditions like dementia and all kinds of other physical ailments. And acting is a physical endeavor as well as it is a mental endeavor. So the thing that I decided after about 6 months of just kind of relaxing and, just trying to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life, I decided that I would just, for laughs and giggles, take a course. So I took a course, an acting class. It was just a small class, not expensive. And I realized that I liked it. I had always wanted to be in entertainment, not specifically an actor, although that was one of the areas that I wanted to delve into. But I remember my mom looking at me when I was a young kid, and she said, "How many black actors do you see on TV and in the movies?" And we're talking back in Diane Carroll's time, or even Cicely Tyson's time frame. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to chance it. I don't know if I can sustain a family, support a family on a struggling actor's salary. So I'm going to go the safe route. And that's what I did. But after I came out, I did have an idea that I wanted to do something in entertainment. And I'm still working on different genres within entertainment. I am, even though I am an actor, they say that you can consider yourself a professional actor when you start getting paid. And so I started getting paid as an actor after I came out of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. A number of actors had attended it. Denzel Washington, Anne Hathaway. There's a lot of people who attended that school. So I said, okay, that's the one for me. And for 7 weeks, I joined some 20 something year olds on campus in New York. And that school is right in the city. So it's not like a big, normal, regular campus, but it's in the city. And I just made it my business to work as hard as I could to get as much out of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts as I could, because the class that I took was local. It was in this DMV area. And it just gave me the understanding of what possibly I was getting into if I were to pursue acting. So that's basically how I got started. I took a small leap of faith. And after taking that class, I realized that's what I wanted to do. And then I actually put some money to it and went up to New York. I actually stayed on campus. And then because New York, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, New York campus focuses on stage, I didn't know whether or not I was best suited for stage or TV and film. So I went out to LA because they have an arm in LA. So I did that program and I loved it. So when I came back, I announced to my family that I was going to become an actor. And of course, everybody's like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, go for it, girl. But they didn't know that I was pretty serious because I had already invested money into it when I went up to New York, because, I stayed there on campus and I went out to LA and stayed on their campus. So, it was just a wonderful experience, even though there were a lot of young 20 something year olds. But I don't know about now, but at that time, they had a program for the more mature potential actor. And I was placed in a class with about 8 other actors over 50. Interestingly enough, they were from out of the country. So only out of the 8, me making the 9th actor, there were only 2 people from the United States. Everybody else was from another country. So, that networking was really good. I'm still friends on Facebook with about half of them. And we created our little, network. And it was just a beautiful experience to really see how serious training is provided. And it is very serious. I stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning, many nights rehearsing lines, because when you walk in one of those classes, that is no joke. You know your lines. And so now you have to figure out, okay, how do I memorize all these lines? And I had lots of lines to remember. And believe it or not, a young man from China, he actually was an engineering major, and he took off the summer and attended the school. And he said, hey, let's go to the library and I will work with you on your lines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he took his time. He was in the class too, but he was younger. And when you're younger, your lines come to you pretty easily, particularly if you have been in an area, work career, where you recall, immediate recall is part of how you groomed yourself. But in my case, as a project manager, it's project oriented. So rapid recall was not necessarily something that, I had really been that good at. But anyway, I had my first performance in New York. At the end of the class, I invited family up, and everybody else in the class invited their family up. And we had a ball. Each actor had their respective roles down pat, the lines memorized, and the families were there, and they were just so happy to see their loved one doing that. And I got the bug at that moment when I got the applause, and I heard my fellow actors getting their applause. I said, oh my gosh, this is fun, and it's invigorating. It makes me feel good to know that I'm giving something of myself and somebody's giving something back to me that's good and wholesome and fun. So after that, after the classes in New York and LA, I came back and I took another class to figure out what the processes was. So after I did that, they indicated in these courses that I took here in the area, the first thing you need is a headshot. So I found the best photographer in the area, and his name is Roy Cox. He's out of Baltimore. And Roy Cox said, okay, bring 3 outfits, one that's a business look, one that's a, kind of relaxed, kind of scrungy look, and one that is very dressy, like after 5. And I did that. And he took maybe 200 pictures, and I was to select which ones I wanted to post on my page. So in the databases. So the next thing I did was I volunteered for a small role. I got that role, and so there I had the beginning of a resume. A resume is your calling card. It's the most important outside of your headshot and perhaps a reel. Then your resume is the very next best thing. And there are 3 sections to a resume. The first thing you want to do is you want to talk about what work you've done. If you haven't done a lot, just go and do something, even on a volunteer basis, with the church or with your local clubs, whatever you can do to get a reel. Now, what I did was I attended John Pilata's acting class, which was out of Baltimore. And so that routine classwork was being on camera. So I used one of the reels that I took with him as the first post on my site. So then the second thing you want to focus on in your resume is who you are.
Yeah.
So, you talk about who you are, what you've done, and that allows people to get an idea of whether you're good for a business part, which is what I often was selected as. I did House of Cards. I was a congressional staffer, a White House staffer, because of the work that I had done in federal government. I guess I had that look. So, but everybody has their own look. And one of the best things that I ever heard from anybody in acting school is you are enough. Whatever you are enough. So if you look this way or that way, if you're heavy set or if you're tiny or if you're tall, you are enough because it represents somebody who you need to see on TV, because TV represents and reflects everybody in the whole universe. So that was the second thing that I did, was just talk about who I was on my resume. And then the third section of a resume is the training. And of course, I had at that point, I had gone to the 3 classes and I put that on there. So then the next thing after you have your resume is, of course, listing yourself in the databases, in the acting databases. Some of the really good ones that I like are backstage.com.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, and casting networks. I mean, you basically have to be on casting networks to get anything anywhere, pretty much. Then I started going to New York for background roles. And I one day was on the train and I said, let me see who's casting background workers. So I went into Sylvia Faye and filled out a form, and she put me on her database. The next thing I knew, I was doing Marvel, Jessica Jones, and about 4 or 5. They have code names for it before they actually go live. So, and you don't know what the real name is, but
Until you
bottom
get there.
line is, I was able to do that work, and you meet different actors along the way. Then you learn about what your hair and makeup is important. So when I came to an audition, my hair and makeup was always done because a lot of times, they're looking at whoever you are. So if I'm a person who likes to have makeup on, I'm going to have makeup on when I go to an audition. Or if I'm on set, I don't need to go to wardrobe and hair and makeup because I'm already going to have it done. And that's pretty much, the way that is. But the bottom line on everything that I can say right now is whatever your passion is, whatever you want to do in life, just take baby steps, because at some point you're going to decide that either it's worth whatever the obstacles are, or either it's not. And then you go do something else. The best thing about trying is the best thing about anything that you do is just trying it. Failure, it happens, but just
And
keep on plugging.
and don't be afraid to pivot. I remember having the privilege of sitting and listening to Valerie Jarrett, and she said, "Don't be afraid to pivot." And I really took that to heart. That, like you said, if this is for you, do it. If it's not, it's okay. Try something else that you might be passionate about. But this is so exciting. You said so many things that are so important. You've given us all these tips and instructions, basically step by step by step. If you want to go into acting, these are some of the steps that you can do to get started. And the importance of a resume. Now, you said reels. Now everybody does their own little reels and they do those skits, but is that something that someone could use and say, hey, I technically did this reel on social media and it got this many pickups? Do they notice that, or is that something that that you can technically use on your resume?
Yeah, well, after COVID, everything is digital. So most often these days, you don't have uh, a physical resume like what I did created when I first started. Everything is electronic. So you just go on a website and look at the pattern where
Mm-hmm.
you have your name first, and then you identify whether you're union or non-union. So if you're union, you're part of SAG-AFTRA, and if you're not, you just identify that, because the reason why that's put up as one of the first things on your resume is because many people in this area do not want to be bothered, really and frankly, with union folks, unless it's a big budgeted production.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a smaller production, if you're non-union, you can be hired, you can do one and done and get paid and you're done. So that's the first thing. And then some resumes require a height and a weight and your color of your hair, color of your eyes. I usually put that on mine. And then I put all the TV film work that I've done first. Then I put all the commercial work after that, then the training, and then the skills. So
Mm-hmm.
what's important about skills is if you are a roller skater, which
Mm-hmm.
roller skate,
Yeah.
uh, you can identify that. If you're a skier or whatever your activities are, you list that, and you can go into some of these programs that have the pattern already for the set up for the resume, and there's like 5 or 6 rows of activities: volleyball, running, whatever it is, that whatever activities, you list that on there. And I think that if you start off with a digital copy of the kinds of things that I just mentioned, you will get noticed and people will
Mm.
respond, and you have to decide whether or not you're going to travel to Philadelphia or New York or North Carolina, or you're just going to stay in the area. You can actually select on, I know Backstage does it, some of the others do too. You can select whether you want to just stay in the DMV, or where you want to go to California, you want to be in California for work. So everything is digital now, and you really just have to just really decide what you want to do, how far you want to go into it. And little by little, you'll get more and more trained, and you'll learn to, some of the ins and outs of what's important in acting.
Because it's a learning process and you'll get better and better the more you do it, and you'll feel more comfortable the more you do it. Like now, you mentioned hair and makeup, that you come already prepared. What do you do? Is it more helpful if you come already with hair and makeup for them, do you find? And
Huh.
you can also control your own look?
That's a very good question. Personally, I like to wear, I like to come to the set ready, and that curtails a lot of time so that they don't have to work with you, because sometimes it can be up to an hour waiting
Mhm.
in line for everybody to get hair and makeup done. But in my case, I was always ready, so it didn't have too much of an issue. But sometimes if you have to be on set at 6 a.m. and you need to be on time, because that's a very big faux pas to not be on time.
Mhm.
That's in anything you do. So
Right, yes.
yeah. So I think that some people decide it's too early in the morning for me to put all this makeup on and take my curlers out. So they roll up on set with, hair not undone and makeup undone. But I prefer not to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanna have control. I remember doing a photo shoot where I don't wear much makeup to start with. So I came up to New York and it was, very early, and so a makeup artist that I didn't know did my makeup, and bless her heart, I looked at my face, I said, "Oh my gosh, why do I look like an aging, silent film star?" So it's best to know that you're working with somebody that you know and you trust, and they're going to deliver on your professional makeup. So it looks like what you how you want to look. You don't want to look like an aging film star.
Well, I'm sure that was not the case.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. It was the panic in my eyes it was crazy. But that was a lesson learned. That was a lesson learned. So exactly what you're saying, come makeup and hair ready. So that way, you feel really confident in what you're delivering when you show up to the place, and you don't have to stand in line or wait in line, because it takes an hour per person sometimes, unless the makeup artist is probably really good and can do it in 30 minutes. But it's still, unless you're like the very first in line, it can take a long, long time to wait. So, what style, like, for example, let's talk about style. We talked about hair and makeup. How do you show up for an audition? What's some of your tips of how to show up for an audition?
Number one, as I mentioned, be on time. Number two, I'd say be ready. Know as much as you can about the director, about the script, about the role that you are auditioning for. It's important to walk into an audition with confidence, with a look of, in other words, someone told me one time, imagine that you want to come in and be as friendly as somebody who might be a guest at the cast director or the production team's dinner. So
Oh,
you come in strong, but you come in uh, so that they will say, "Oh, I'd like to have her or him for dinner." And some of the things, some of the smaller things that you don't want to do is you don't want to walk in and extend your hand out and try and shake anybody's hand. Many times there's a panel and each person is looking for different things. Sometimes they have a chart that they are identifying certain qualities in the auditioner. And if you walk over toward them and extend your hand, then they automatically know that you don't know some of the minute issues about getting an audition. So just be prepared. That's a very important thing. Outside of knowing your role, the third and most important thing I think is know as much as you can about each one of the casting directors. What is their style? Do they like to work with actors who are seasoned? Do they work with extras? Do they work with people who are been around for a while? And I mean, that may not seem like it's very important, but as much as you know about the casting group and the production team, I think that helps you in your level of confidence because now you are armed with some information.
and also it's like if you're interviewing for a job, you go ahead and you do the research on the company and you make sure that you
Right.
know about the department, what it pays, all those things anyway. So that's something that you're used to doing anyway. So why wouldn't you do it auditioning for a part?
Exactly.
So what would you wear? Should you dress in terms of what the part is? Do you try to so they can kind of visualize you in that role? Um, are there certain colors you should avoid, or are certain types of looks? Do you want to make sure you're not too provocative, or how do you make that decision of what to wear to an audition?
So that's a good question too. It depends on whether it's a TV and film or stage. So, and there are two schools of thought on it in general. One school of thought is be general, wear something that is not, as far as TV and film is concerned, something that's not as specific, like a black top and khaki pants or a black top and black pants. I always go with black because that's safe. But if it's an audition that you're submitting digitally, which is what we often do now that we've come through a pandemic, you want to wear something bright and red because when you have on red, you are popping out. And if you have all the rest of it the way they want it, then you know that they're going to see you and they may remember you because red does pop out. So that's one of the things I learned when I went to a class in New York. It was a 5-week class in New York, 1 day a week. And we never videotaped without wearing red. And I think that it has been a good thing to do for me because much of what I've done when I submitted on camera I've worn red and it's been pretty fruitful. But before the pandemic, people would wear light blue. Oftentimes, if you notice commercials, many times the actor has on a light blue shirt or either a turtleneck. Um, Oftentimes, for some reason, that light blue color is a color that gets you the job. So,
Oh, wow, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, notice it on TV. Oftentimes, unless they've coordinated the backdrop with whatever the wardrobe has asked you to wear or put on you. The other choice is a light blue shirt.
Okay.
So if it's digital and you're on camera, then it's red. If you're going in person, light blue top and whatever color you want in the bottom.
So do you feel like now, since we're post COVID, we are showing up for auditions more in person, or about, is it about even, so
I would
people know what to expect?
I would say mostly electronic videos. They're sending videos in more than they ever have, or they're asking for videos more than ever. So I would say videos.
Okay. So then there you guys have it. Hair, makeup, and red to be ready for your audition. And never, when you are in person, don't shake hands and wear light blue.
Another very important point to remember if you are auditioning is to have a solid background. Um, a blue or a green screen is very good, is very helpful. Or if you don't have a blue or green screen, which you can get on Amazon, you can just set up your camera and your tripod and a chair so that your background is against a white wall, or cream wall. So you don't have to have the blue or the green screen. Years ago, they wanted those two, one of those two, but now you can just go to your wall, move all the pictures off, and just tape it right there.
So that is so awesome. Now, as we get ready to close this up, I want to know what is on your next agenda. What's the next thing on your plate? We know that you like adventure and you're ready for the next thing. What is the next thing you're doing in this acting space?
Well, I recently uh, was involved in a production that sold out. It was sold out in Wilmington, Delaware. It's called Chosen. It's by the production group is Respect My Royalty, and they have a website, respectmyroyalty.com. The young lady who wrote the book Chosen decided that she would tell the story through a play. And I auditioned for the role of her mother. And I did it for just laughs and giggles because, like I said, I enjoy TV and film. But I said, okay, let me just try it. And lo and behold, I got the part. So the Wilmington show was sold out, and Hezekiah Walker ended up endorsing it. So we're also on tour. So we'll be in DC March the 4th, 2023. There's a show that's going to be done in, well, let's just say the rest of 2023. It'll be sometime. I'll get the dates a little bit later, but Atlanta, New York, and DC are the next three stage plays. So I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more stage. I had no idea that I liked it, but once you are on stage and you get that feedback from the audience and they're laughing and they're also being taken through some emotional feelings. It just is a great, great feeling on stage. And I have great castmates. We work together day after day after day in rehearsal, and we got to know each other. And then, acting is like a ping and a pong. You have a scene partner and you deliver your line, and then they receive that line, and then they feel that line. They embody that character, and they begin to ping back to you what you gave to them. And that's something that you don't get in TV and film. TV and film, you're only working in a box, and most of the time it's just your face. Sometimes you see a lot of the other backdrop, But for TV and film, it's just this box. So you learn how to use your face and your eyes and hold your cheeks and your mouth and your shoulders and all of that. But in stage, you have that one time to do it and to get it right. And it's exhilarating to hear the audience, just be so enthusiastic and so supportive of you. So that's my next endeavor, is to delve a little bit more in stage and see where that takes me.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you for joining us, Fran, and sharing your experience with us. And I hope I know that, like me, you have been inspired to go out there, you guys, and go for whatever your dream is, whatever you've been thinking about, whatever, even if people are telling you can't do it or why would you take a chance on yourself, because you might end up finding something that you're so excited about that it's definitely the thing that you're like, why didn't I do this years ago?
Right.
So definitely go for your dreams. Don't let the perfect impede the progress. Heaven knows I don't, but I just keep getting up there and keep doing it. And it gets better and better. And I love what I do. And I'm so happy to share this experience with you guys. Fran sharing her experience with you guys. And I hope you learned something. And you might even be interested in going into acting. I, I'm kind of, that's like piquing my interest as well. It sounds so exciting, but trust me, and listening to her, it's also work. So if you're going to invest in it correctly. So thank you guys for joining us every Monday. Remember, every Monday, My Style Mondays at 7 p.m. And Fran is also I'm going to get her to drop in the comments the play again, the stage play,
Okay.
and the next three dates on there, so you can have an opportunity to go see her live in person. All
Yes,
right.
March 4 is the DC date, March 4, 2023, and it's at Duke Ellington School of Performing Arts. And the other two dates and places, I will drop that in the chat line.
All right. Thanks, you guys. And you know where you can find me, at the Style Table, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, at thestyletable.com. If you need a wardrobe stylist to help you think about how to show up for these auditions, you can hit me up anytime and get your free consultation, style assessment. All right, you guys, bye. See you next
Bye.
time.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good one.
you. Me too. I was riveted. It was so amazing. Thank you.
All right. Take care.